play a little game just because I'm curious. I'm going to say a dojo. And if it's the one you want to join, I want you to cheer, raise your hand. I'm just curious. Who wants to join Miyagi-Do? You know how much louder you can get than that? Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do is what I'm getting. Now, Eagle Fang. That is the right answer. That's the answer I'm repping right now. We're not going to waste any more time here. I am beyond thrilled to be here, moderating this conversation, taking some of your questions today. There are mics on both sides. All I ask you guys to do is just keep it to one question per person. Don't ask for videos or give gifts or anything, because we want to include as many of your questions as we possibly can. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ralph Macchio. We also have William Zabka. Martin Kove. And finally, ZABKA-XOLO Mariduena. You guys get really big reactions every single time we've spoken, but I want to take that, is it me? And apply it.
No, that's
Check 1, 2, 3.
I'm scooting to this side. I need that reaction at every single Emmy event you guys do, because we said this the other night. Not only do these guys make a great show that builds a massive fan base that fills a room like this, but it's awards caliber, and it's something we get to celebrate, and that is a true feat and makes me a very, very proud Karate Kid and Cobra Kai fan. So congratulations. All right, starting with my three OGs here. For the three of you, having stuck with these characters for so long, over the course of your run with Cobra Kai, is there anything that you read in the script that surprised you in terms of maybe thinking, I never thought I'd see the day where I got to do this particular thing with this character?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Oh, are you going to share? I think that one of the things that I never would have seen coming was the scene with Allie at the end, where we have this kind of romantic goodbye. I don't think it was season 3, no, 2, 3, yeah, 3. Just where Johnny's saying goodbye to Allie, running down the stairs to go to Carmen with Journey playing underneath. Okay, as the quintessential 80s jerk that I've known for, that never got the girl in anything, to leave Elizabeth's shoe and go and run after Vanessa and Carmen in that. I just remember pitching myself and telling John Horowitz, who was one of our creators, thank you so much for giving me this moment, because I never, ever would have dreamed that happening.
There's so many when you think about it. I actually, I would say I never thought I would have, like in season 1 of the show, where people would say, I used to love you and now you're kind of an ass. But then we got out of that once as things evolved, and True Colors, once we set up the redemption story of Johnny, and you see with Johnny and Daniel and there's similarities going forward. But I also never thought that I would find Christopher Cross so cool as I did with the scene with Xolo, or listening to Sailing, or one of those. But it was an answer to the Guns N' Roses element of, like, you know, who are they? Anyway.
I mean, Marty?
I think, you know, when the writers told me I was coming in for episode 10 of season 1, and I wanted, of course, to come in on episode 5 or episode 6, you know. And they said, no, you'll set up season 2. And then I did the scene, the entrance, and I wasn't allowed to go out of my hotel room because you all were shooting the tournament at that time. And they didn't want anybody to know I was coming in. And the entrance, you know, it was really interesting because when I saw it cut together, it was like a Sergio Leone entrance of Eastwood in Fistful of Dollars or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It had that music. The composers, brilliant that we work with, set up these twangs. And so there I was coming in with this cigar, and I couldn't smoke their cigars because it was getting me dizzy. So I had to smoke a Cuban cigar. And it was smooth and easy. And then they said, take that one step, exhale, and then say the real story's only just begun. And I never in a million years would have thought my entrance would be that, you know, classic, like as if I was making an entrance in a Western. You know?
Our newcomer. You're 5 seasons in though, not a newcomer anymore. I'm curious, was there a particular moment making any season of Cobra Kai that made you feel like for the very first time, like I'm not the newcomer, I'm a major part of this franchise and I'm gonna follow in the footsteps of these guys and be celebrating it for years to come?
Oh snap. I'm still waiting on that moment. I mean, it's been such a, like I don't know, going into season 1, it never really felt both, you know, really Billy at the beginning, but eventually everyone was so welcoming that it never really felt like I was living in the shadows of these guys. They were so down to help me, like, play, really. Like, I was so young and kind of green in this whole process, but you know, I think the moment that I really realized, oh shoot, these are big dogs right here, is when we did both of the tournaments and seeing the whole audience react to you. Like this most recent tournament, Cobra Kai comes out and the audience was booming because they were into it. They forgot that they were acting, that they weren't supposed to, they knew the backstory, and I think that's when I realized, like, oh, this is really so important to people's hearts, and it's so great that...
Yeah, we're booing Terry Silver, by the way.
But yeah, those were the 2 moments that it really put it into perspective for me.
Just for what it's worth, proof that you're here to stay. We're keeping you,
right,
keeping
yes.
you in this community. All right, let's get into some season 5 specifics. Ralph, I'm coming your way first. You know how much I love when the show has like E+ fight choreography that's paired with really strong emotional beats, and you get a 1-2 punch in both of your scenes fighting Terry Silver. So can you walk us through what it was like working with Thomas on those, and you know, reflecting what it means for those characters in addition to just having a wicked fight?
Yeah, listen, it's always important to have the story in the fight. Otherwise, it's just a fight scene, and God knows there's plenty of fight scenes and plenty of shows and movies. And in the case of Thomas is truly a martial artist. He's certainly a black belt in martial arts, unlike myself. But we approached both of those fights. One, what was going on for LaRusso in the first fight in episode 5, when Terry Silver sets him up and gives him a beating. LaRusso was coming from a place of anger, a place of frustration. He was striking first, but without any control, any balance. So the end result is he was taken down by someone who was playing him like a marionette, was playing him like a violin, if you will. I love that fight because it had so much emotion in it, and just finding someone who's 6'6" and pretending to hang in for a while was proud of myself. The next fight in episode 10 was Daniel Russo was at a place he had all his everyone behind him at that point after hitting rock bottom. So it was really important to be centered and grounded, where that the flip side of that, Terry Silver was at a place of desperation. And so therein lies the through line of the narrative that plays underneath the physical. And so, and it, with the callback to the kick that got me here to start, and the crane kick, and it was an exciting season for Daniel Russo, season 5, that's for sure.
I never thought I'd get such a good payoff to the Terry-Daniel relationship in Karate Kid 3 with the intercutting of the footage. It's so expertly done. Exactly,
to that point, yeah. The guys do a great job, the editors, in many of the fight sequences. Even the fight with Billy and I would cut to, from season 4, they would cut to those moments from the original film, and you get all that feels because you see the history.
Non-stop throughout this entire show. Billy, for you, I'm going to stick with a fight. I want to know about the season 5 finale fight, particularly the moment where the sonogram falls out. He kind of gets that extra burst of life to him. Is it as satisfying for you doing that on set as it is for us as an audience watching it?
It was, because, I mean, those guys, I just got my butt kicked for the hello testing. I mean, they just pummeled me. I mean, they had ideas for during that fight. One of the guys came in, he's like, we're gonna pick you up and we're gonna like smash you over our knees and like almost looks like we broke your back. I'm like, actually, please don't do that. Have some respect. It wouldn't have been me doing it, it would have been my stunt guy, but like have a little respect for the character. Like you can't just nuke him like that. But then as you turn the pages and there's the moment where the sonogram falls out and then I get my adrenaline kick. Yeah, that was a super intense fight, and like a lot of the fights that we do, we learn them. You don't have a lot of time to rehearse, and that one I didn't have much time to rehearse at all. So basically, I just had to go and watch the stunt guys do it, my stuntmen do it, and all the guys that are the guys I fight, they're all top-notch martial artists and stunt guys. So when you're working with those kind of guys, you're in the best hands, because if you screw up, like if I screw up and I went the wrong way, and someone's coming with a round kick to my face, they're gonna stop. And a lot of times with actors, we can make mistakes. So I just had to sit there and let him throw, punches and kicks at me. And then, yeah, that moment, it was really kind of cathartic at that moment when that happened, because at that point, we shot it for 2 nights, and I was exhausted. It was really a tiring fight to shoot, and it was my turn now. So I got to, I got to pretend to throw them against walls and stuff. I mean, they're jumping off trampolines and doing their own backflips and TVs and things. So, when you watch it with the music and tie it into the rest of the show, it has that kind of adrenaline feeling. When you're doing it, it hurts, it's painful. And then, but the sonogram moment was really important, and the engines through that fight. So it was a tough fight. It was definitely a tough fight.
Every season finale of the show, I'm always sitting there wondering, like, this is great, but how do you raise the bar in a different way next season? Every season you do it again and again and again. I'm so incredibly impressed by that. I heard some applause. We can applaud. Marty, I'm wondering what it was like for you when you first got the season 5 scripts. Are you just reading the beginning of season 5 and asking John, Josh, and Hayden, like, where am I? Where's my moment?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. I was making a movie in Dunedin, Florida, down there. And I remember where I was sitting, and I wasn't in the first 2 episodes. And I said, this is the first time this ever happened. And I was not comfortable at all. And, and they said, well, we got to distance you because you're in jail. And so I didn't like that. I was pissed off. And I remember sitting and talking for 2 hours on a right on the main drag down in that little town. And eventually they told me that it would, it's necessary to set up the rest of the scene. It's necessary. And going to jail, and then, for those of you who hope everybody's up to date on season 5, but the bottom line is, he goes to jail, and what happens is he breaks out. But I love the fact that now he's a loose cannon, you know, and now anything goes. And he, as Billy and I were talking earlier, he's not cotton or associated to any dojo. He can show up anywhere, you know. And first place he'll probably show up is at...
Okay, that's enough. I'm going to cut short. I'm already...
But in any case, it's always fun. They write so well. The bottom line is, you know, the bottom line is that you trust them because they're good. And they have a year. I always think, a year.
They're cutting him off in the booth.
That's the showrunners coming in from LA, zapping his microphone.
And that's the answer to the question. Just leave me alone.
I'm going in a more emotional, I guess, serious route right now. I'm about to throw my iPad. I want to know about filming the I love you scene with Mary, because it's not easy to film an I love you moment and have it come across as like believable and authentic. So what was it like for you two preparing for that? And also, why did it feel right for you for that to be the moment where he finally says it?
Because the writer said so. They said it. So I think, you know, getting to work with Mary, it had been like 5 years in the making for these two, and seeing their triumphs and their failures, I think it was a really great payoff, and it felt kind of accidental in a way. And I think that's like love at its truest form. Sometimes you you realize you're in it, and then you're like, oh, you know, shoot. There's not like a moment. I think it was right. Yeah, I mean, I think I have my own personal like, oh, you know, how the dominoes fell, but I think I feel so loud. Sorry. I really enjoy, Sam and Miguel have a really honest relationship, and it's pure, and I love Mary so much. She's got a great energy on set, so getting to have like this moment, like this back and forth tug of war between the two, and finally have some rest was nice. And also on the Robbie front too, it's nice to kind of just like breathe for a bit, because I know this next one's about to be crazy. This next season is about to be is awesome. So.
One of my favorite fights in Cobra Kai of all time is the fight that you two have in the apartment. I mean, speaking about another moment where it's not just fighting for the sake of fighting, but it is actually reflecting their relationship and how it's evolved. So, can you walk us through what it was like filming that with Tanner?
That was a fantastic fight, and probably one of my favorites as well. Speaking of fights that have like a physical fight, but also a spiritual kind of fight. A narrative fight, if you will. It's and Tanner too. Like, talk about just great fighting skills. Like, it's one thing to fight against professional stuntmen, but to have Tanner like on the spot learning different moves, like it was really great. And also, I don't get to film with him all that often, so to get a moment where both of us are really at our most vulnerable, really fighting for it, like putting it out on the line, it was fun. And he doesn't pull his punches, so by the end of it, I was like, let's get out of here.
Especially well done. I'm gonna squeeze in one more. Do we have the two mics out there? If you guys want to line up and ask a couple of questions, we're gonna get to as many of them as possible. I can't. Oh, I see you guys now. I'm gonna end with this one for my questions. I love doing this now because I just love in this industry when we just sing each other's praises. So for each of you, any season, any scene, can you name a time a Cobra Kai co-star just absolutely floored you with their work or their interpretation of the material, where they really surprised you with where they took it?
We're really surprised. There's so many moments that meant so much to me as a viewer. Since they're, you know, God, I said since they're both here, but I have two examples since everyone is here. Last season, Billy and Marty and I had a scene in the prison, and I had something to do, but there was so much history that these two had together in their characters, and so much history they have as friends and as actors and artists. And I just really, and I said it on the day, and I've said it since, I felt privileged to be there watching their history, Johnny and Crease, Billy and Marty, and it really, you know, I'm surprised and probably it's not that, I just felt proud. And to that same point, scenes with Billy and Xolo, you know, for example, when they're by the hospital and Johnny is saying this is where he screwed up and I wasn't there for my son and all that stuff, and you know, those are the moments that ground Cobra Kai as crazy and fun and heightened and big and exciting and comical as it is. Those are the moments for me that they ground it and make it not just another one, lifts it to another level. So those are two examples for me.
One of the scene that I just remember was Xolo doing, the one where he says, I say I love you, Robbie, and you know, he says I love you. First of all, when I read that, I'm like, no. I remember how much it hurt just to read that. I'm like, you gotta be kidding, he can't say that. And I'm like, he's gotta be super drunk. They're like, yeah, he's super drunk, he's super beat up, and he doesn't know where he is. So in a way, he's saying it to Robbie, but you know, listen, I'm not surprised by anybody. I'm so enthralled by all the performances around me, and it's so easy to feed off of everybody's energy, every single one of them. I mean, everybody's bringing something to this show that makes it what it is, and it's magical. And you go back to one thing about Xolo being the new guy or whatever, like when we started, I remember when we first started this and we're all in the room, and it just individually, I think we just talked about how this is a sequel of Karate Kid. This is it is a sequel of Karate Kid. This is its own thing. It's a brand new show. Our backstories come from a movie called Karate Kid. We're all people. Give me all these microphones. We're all doing this together. And so, who's doing sound in here, man? I feel like Elton John when he's screaming at the sound mixing guy. So, no, but this is a great microphone. Why does Ralph have a good microphone?
It was in the deal.
But really, when we set out to do the show, it was like, this is different. This isn't karate. It's today, and it's its own thing. And we're all approaching this. We're all doing this together. We're all on equal ground. It's not like we're the OG guys and you're going to earn your spot. Like, Johnny is totally different. He's not 18 anymore. Daniel's different. We have all this time in between us. So what we've done together has been a team effort in every way, and we're all feeding off each other. And I think we're all surprised, encouraged, and inspired by each other. And I think that's the truth. But I just wanted to see with you when I saw it, I Love You, Robbie, and how much it hurt, but what really hurt the most was his face, you know? And that, and then watching it back, it even hurts more. It hurts again, it still hurts, and we played it, it's enacted, it was on a page, but it feels real. I mean, it's just stuff like that where it's just like surprises along the way, and every character in the show is popping and has these moments. And that's why it's so rich and the cast is so full, and why season 6 is gonna be massive to tie up and to send all these characters in the story into the future. So.
Check 1, 2, 3. Ralph, can we have your microphone again, please?
Where's the sound technician?
Can I borrow your little mic? Thank you very much. All right. Okay, I'm leaving if this doesn't work. All right.
It's not my fault.
Okay. So it was really very simple. When I go back to the men's shelter, and this was a scene that I didn't know what was going to go on because it was the first real emotional scene that they wrote for me. And I'm going back to the men's shelter, and he's been following me in the car, remember? And then I'd always wanted more vulnerable things. I didn't want to play tough guy. The writers said they would you know, drop the glove in different situations and allow more vulnerability to come to John Kreese rather than him just being what we saw in Karate Kid 1. And, you know, slowly they've done that with all these flashbacks. But here was the first one where I've got to really tell you what I've been doing, and that I've had a rough time, and that I was floating as you know, things were failing. And I think I represented myself as staying at the Sheraton Universal, and I was on top of the world. And it was all a lie. And you follow me we sit on that couch, and I just ask you for another opportunity, just forget about what went on in the past, that I was a monster, and you know, let's see if I can help and just be somewhat an assistant of some sorts. I didn't know what I was fishing for as an actor. I was fishing for approval that I'm still a decent person, and it wasn't a con, despite that so many people think John Kreese always manipulates. He doesn't always manipulate. He really doesn't. There's a lot of very sincere entities about this character, and unfortunately, it gets twisted and turned. But the bottom line is, your reaction to me was so genuine that we both dropped tears. And we just, you know, even how we shook, we never shook like this. We just shook like two old soldiers on the battlefield with everybody else dead in the platoon, you know, and just being glad they can save each other and move on. And that was a moment that I'll never forget. As the camera came around like this, really slow, took it slow, just on a two-shot of us just talking, and it never repeated itself. It was one take, and everybody was like, you know, very emotional in the video village. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. Anyway, that's it.
Show what you got for us in this one.
Let's see. You know, it's no question that these are like, you guys are titans. There's so many scenes to choose from. You guys are really so phenomenal, and just getting to sit across from you guys, it's fantastic. Ralph, I don't know if it's because it's the most recent one in my head, but that final fight between you and Terry Silver, the presence that Terry Silver brought to the set was crazy, and I just thought, like, how is Ralph gonna do it? It's like, but you brought a fierceness to that fight, and I was so, like, it was so sick to just stand and watch you guys duke it out. And you were like a lion on set. It was fantastic. And I just, I was like, this guy's gonna kick Terry Silver's ass. Yeah! I really was rooting for you in that moment. And it was so great to just be an eyewitness. And Marty, I mean, the work in the prison, when you're reflecting on your past and getting to really reconcile with who you are, and like, you're talking to people who, like, when you talk to your younger self and younger Billy, it's like, it really brought out this new side of Kreese that I don't think anyone ever expected, and we're all better for it, because it was, you guys, like, I personally think, like, Kreese as a character is the best arc that you had. It was so rewarding after all these years of seeing you be this, like, warrior. Yeah, this Tyrannosaurus, exactly. That was the word I was looking for. Then you were a pterodactyl in that moment. And then with Billy, your shit's golden, man. Yeah, it's I love filming everything with you, man. Yeah.
Love is real. I have one more addition. The scene in the garden, our first scene together, after we were in the garden and I come in and he finds me in the back of his garden, back of his house at the garden. And I haven't had a scene with him in 30 years of acting, you know? And I'll never forget it. It was so honest and so real. What are you doing here? You know, and I think my first line was, so, what do you teach? What do you grow vegetables or something here? What was the line?
Gardening or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Is this your dojo? Do you garden here? I mean, in any case, but it was so rich that Ralph, I remember you turned, and we felt how heavy it was organically between us, and I remember you turning to the camera person and saying, I'm going to really have to work for this one.
Right.
You know, but it was so pure, it was so clean. After 30 years, you don't work with somebody. You know, Billy and I have done a couple of movies together over the period of time. But, you know, at something at this magnitude, it's a whole other layer of actor satisfaction. And it's a wonderful realization.
And the irony of all four of these answers is, as I mentioned earlier, it's all grounded in the dramatic and real moments of the human side of it all. As big as Cobra Kai is, it's about, and that's where the richness lies, I think.
You feel it big time. All right, let's get started on this side here. What is your name and your question? Oh no.
Microphones are consistently crushed.
Ross Mike? Here we go. We're good. How you doing? My name is Joe Schilling. My family and I love the show and can't wait for next season. This question is for all of you. Hopefully it's an easy one. There are a bunch of great one-liners in the series. My family and I quote a bunch of them constantly. But which one of your lines is your favorite so far?
Quiet! No, I'm sorry. Too easy.
That's it. I don't know. There's so many.
I like, who's the man? I like that.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I love that one. Who's the man?
It's a great moment.
When Stingray comes into the dojo and he wants to be part of the dojo, and I'm walking up and down the aisles teaching, and then there was a last line I said, because I tell him he has no place here, and I tell him with the most venomous delivery, I go look him in the eye, and I say, you have no value here. I mean, just, the writers come out of Video Village cracking up hysterical. And I thought, why are you laughing? It's such a venomous line. And it's because it was funny because it was so dark. So dark.
Anyone else got one?
The first time when Johnny opens the dojo and he's going through the line and he sees a kid, he's like, nice shirt. The kid's like, thanks. I'm joking, it sucks. And then he sees other kids like, that little note for you, you got shit for teeth, don't smile. Just those little lines, when you read them on the page, you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna hate this guy, but...
All right, let's
so funny.
hit our first question on that side. I can barely see you, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Steven, and this question is from William. What was your favorite fight scene of Cobra Kai?
My favorite fight scene? That I'm in, or just my favorite fight scene?
Just your favorite fight scene.
The school fight, I think, is probably my favorite fight scene. Yeah, that was just so insane and so charged. And the one they did what they call a oneer, where there's the camera and the guys are fighting. If you watch that, I don't know if you know that about movies that sometimes they do in the film, where it's just one camera, there's no cutting. So the camera's moving with the fight, and the camera becomes part of the choreography. So you got fighting over here, then the camera whips around, and then there's another foot going against the head over here. And so the way they put that together was incredible. And of course, the emotion of that, it was so supercharged. And then, the ending of it was the sad thing. We all read that when Miguel goes over the thing. We're like, what? This can't happen. I mean, there was like a quiet in the makeup trailer in the morning. Did you read the end of season? Was it 2?
Show's dead.
Show's dead. What happened?
We
knew that wasn't happening. But like, what's gonna? Yeah. So I think that's just a standout to me when I think of my favorite fight in the show.